Well, Jagmeet pulled the cord in the 9th hour, as we kind of predicted, when there's no chance to be able to go back to the House of Commons to vote on a non-confidence vote. He then thinks it's safe enough to then display and communicate his lack of confidence in the current government when they are on vacation, not scheduled to be back in Parliament until January 27th. What a slick move on his part. Again, not even trying to hide it. When there will be enough time, as an election in 37 days could last, just enough time so that he can get his pension late February and then have an election early March. So that happens after the crazy week we had last week. Then Pierre Poilievre gets up and says, well, Sean Fraser left, communicating by his departure that he may lack confidence. Freeland outright said she lacks confidence in the current leader. Jagmeet Singh says he's lacking confidence in the leader. All the backbenchers, the Liberals, are saying they lack confidence in the leader. We have the Bloc who's lacking confidence in the leader. So we have all these scenarios and people who are saying, yeah, we have a lack of confidence in this government. Even though the MPs are not scheduled to go back to the House of Commons till end of January, Pierre Poilievre says, hey, Governor General, you have the power to call us back to Parliament, have a vote of non-confidence. Can you make it happen? And he does this, and the Liberals lose their minds. People like Dean Blundell trying to school everybody, saying, LOL, that's not how it works. Writing a letter to Santa to bring down the government is just as effective. That's next. Citing the article of Poilievre asking the Governor General to recall the House for confidence vote. Then he follows that up with, for some of you in the replies, FYI, the Governor General of Canada does not have the unilateral authority to recall the House of Commons without the consent of the government. The Governor General's powers are largely ceremonial and exercised on the advice of the Prime Minister and Cabinet. And members of that Liberal Cabinet also had this to say about it.
Well, Pierre Poilievre is pulling another one of his convoy moves. They tried that going to the Governor General and tried to turn some weird trick that somehow gets Pierre Poilievre where he needs to be. So it's another shtick. Is he going to bring donuts and coffee to the Governor General at the same time with his convoy people? I mean, this is ridiculous. So these are games. We have to be serious and make sure that we're focusing on the next 60 days.
Again, just his statement shows his disdain and utter dislike and hatred for regular Canadians who want to see this government gone, who want to see a different party in power, mocking the convoy, mocking Pierre Poilievre, essentially dismissing the idea of asking the Governor General to call the House of Commons back to order to have a confidence vote. These Liberals and lefties do what they do best and look down their noses at people like us, the regular people, regular folk. Oh, you guys are too stupid. You guys don't understand politics. You don't understand how this all works. It's not how it works. It's not how it operates. Well, quite frankly, we decided to go through the archives and the history of how things have operated in this government and operated in our country's history to pull out some examples of, yes, how this could happen. And what Pierre Poilievre, the thing about Pierre Poilievre, he's a very educated man, knows his stuff. He's been in politics a long time, for better or for worse. So he knows what's allowed and what's not allowed. He understands the history and understands how things operate. He doesn't just throw this stuff out there to make himself feel better. He's not Jagmeet Singh. He's not Justin Trudeau. When he throws stuff out there, it's calculated, thought out, and there's precedent for what he's asking for. In this scenario, we all saw what Jagmeet did. He waited and waited and waited until the 9th hour, and then said he had non-confidence so that he had enough time to secure his pension. So Poilievre called the bluff. Like, actually, Governor General, they can call us back. How about we have a confidence vote right now? Let's do that. Have some fun. So with Pierre Poilievre asking this and putting this forward, knowing that this has precedent and this can work, let's kind of break this down how this could work. First, let's understand the Governor General's role. The Governor General is a representative of the King in Canada, acting as the head of the state at the federal level. Appointed by the King on the advice of the Prime Minister, typically serves a 5-year term, though this can be extended. They can only be removed under extraordinary circumstances, typically a constitutional or public controversy. The Prime Minister's recommendation plays a key role. The role is ceremonial, but it carries important constitutional responsibilities. Powers include giving royal assent, summoning and dissolving Parliament, appointing the Prime Minister and other officials. So yes, this role can do exactly what Pierre Poilievre was suggesting. They can dissolve Parliament, they can call Parliament back, but only in extraordinary circumstances has this been exercised, and can it be exercised? Because normally, the Governor General dissolves Parliament on the advice of the Prime Minister. Very, very seldom will they act in contrary to what the Prime Minister wants. It can be done, but it's like it has to be very extraordinary circumstances. As it has been exercised in the past, but it's been extremely rare. Let's look at a couple circumstances here. In 1926, Prime Minister Mackenzie King requested the Governor General, Lord Byng, to dissolve Parliament and call an election. Byng refused, citing that King still had the confidence of the House, and instead invited Arthur Meighen to form a government. This led to a political crisis and eventually a constitutional debate around the limits of the Governor General's powers. The crisis resulted in King regaining power and later advocating for reduced involvement of the Governor General in Canadian politics. Of course. This was nearly 100 years ago. It was going to probably need to be exercised at some point. It's only a matter of time. The next time that there was something even remotely similar that this happened was in 2008 with Mr. Harper. Stephen Harper faced a potential vote of non-confidence due to a coalition that was forming on the opposition side To avoid this, Harper sought out the Governor General's approval to prorogue Parliament, effectively delaying the confidence vote. Governor General Michael Jean agreed to the prorogation, but only after thorough deliberation. Under specific conditions, Parliament was to reconvene soon. The government was expected to present a budget upon return. This decision allowed Harper to maintain his position. As we said, this only happens and has happened in extraordinary circumstances and is only reserved for those extraordinary circumstances. And liberals laughing at us and laughing at people suggesting that this could happen, laughing at Poilievre that could happen, just shows that they're scared or uneducated, or probably both. They're terrified of Poilievre, they're terrified of him becoming prime minister, and they keep laughing at him because they don't know how the system works. All they want to do is dunk on the conservatives, laugh at the cons, and say how stupid they are. But this past 9 years, there's been a lot of extraordinary circumstances. We had a pandemic. We had emergency powers used on Canadian citizens on a peaceful protest. We had this government rack up more debt than any other prime minister combined. There's been a lot of firsts and a lot of extraordinary circumstances with this government, and I think this scenario could very well apply the Governor General's powers. This could happen, because let's look at the facts of the matter. As we said, laid out at the beginning of the show, Sean Fraser, gone. Freeland exercising her lack of confidence in the Prime Minister and leaving cabinet. We have multiple Liberals saying they have a lack of confidence in the leader. You have the Bloc saying they have lack of confidence in the leader. Then Jagmeet puts out an official document saying that he has a lack of confidence in this Liberal government, citing things like rising living costs, high employment rates, housing crisis, all indicators of the government's failures to effectively manage the country. And obviously, as we've been seeing in the polls, how Trudeau has been falling like a rock, showing that the public is also getting sick and tired of this leader and lacking confidence. So with everyone on the record saying they lack confidence in this leader, and then they waited till the break to express that non-confidence, knowing what's going on behind the scenes, there is precedent here for the Governor General to recall Parliament and have a confidence vote. If this were to happen, this would completely screw over Jagmeet Singh. And I wouldn't put it past him to then be like, actually, psych, you know that letter I wrote and everything? Psych, I pull that back. I didn't mean that. I was in a drunken stupor. Shout out Rob Ford. That could happen. But with all this on paper, tweeted out to the millions and millions of Canadians, it could happen, but it only is going to happen with pressure from Canadians on their MPs to a degree. It plays a significant role. We've seen it happen in the States. We saw it last week with their big omnibus bill trying to pass through the Congress. Something like what it was at over 1,000 page document that they cut down to 130 pages. That only happened and only was able to be successful because people put pressure on the congressman to make sure that they did cut it down. They cut out the BS that was in it. And obviously we find ourselves in a different scenario because the Liberals are the ones who are in power. But if you put enough pressure on our elected officials, enough pressure on the Governor General, email the Governor General, sign that petition that Northern Perspective put out. If you get enough numbers on those things, that is showing the public dismay for the lack of confidence in this leader and could be enough to tip everything over the edge as we stare down the barrel of these Trump tariffs in the new year. But those are the facts of the matter. Have those conversations with people over the holidays, your friends, your family. And I'm sorry, my voice is so gone right now. It took everything in me to do this video. What's what we're seeing right now is there is precedent to have this happen. Different scenarios that can happen is that things get called back early. The speaker then has to agree. Again, just because it has precedent doesn't mean it's easy for it to happen. A couple of weird things can happen. First off, can require significant public pressure, as we just stated. And then according to the House of Commons procedure and practice, the decision to recall is taken by the speaker after consultation with the PM. And only after the PM is satisfied with the public interest would be served by an earlier meeting of the House. Consultation between speaker and government regarding a call of the House usually begins with the government request made in writing to the speaker, meaning Trudeau and Greg Fergus, the speaker, have to agree in writing to bring back everyone early. So again, that's a big step to be able, the barrier to overcome. And what we might see in late January is Trudeau proroguing Parliament. That could very much happen as well, to be able to get enough time for him to step down and then them put another leader up. That could very much happen as well. A lot of this could be delayed for a while, or we could get our election in March, or the crazy thing could happen. All these barriers are overcome and we see the House called back earlier than January 27th. But it starts with us. It starts with the pressure that we put on. It starts with signing those petitions. It starts with putting pressure on the Governor General, pressure on your MPs, pressure on public officials that this is what the people want. It has to be overwhelming. If it's not overwhelming, your once a century action will not happen. That's just the reality of it. But have yourself a great Sunday. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you all later.